Yeah.
Ask
your
aunties.
The first
You're
answer.
giving
I
me
guess we did
Blue
last week.
Ivy. You're giving me Blue Ivy and Beyonce vibes, and
I know what you're talking about.
Brown skin girl.
The
Brown skin.
No, Blue
one
Ivy had
where
her
she's
hair
wearing
up
the
at that
tiara. The one that she's wearing the tiara.
Grown
What's
woman.
that one?
Grown woman.
Yes.
Yes.
That's the vibe I'm getting right now.
Grown
Yes.
woman.
Mm-hmm. I'm a grown woman.
Ooh. Come on, backgrounds. Okay, hold on.
Anonymous.
Outta here. So this week's Ask Your Auntie says, and it's a good one. Woo. How should I handle this? Guy I met is great. We are having a good time in quarantine, literally at his house, eating, fucking, and just being in each other's presence, getting to know each other. But one night he is like, I had a rough day, and I asked why. He said his ex-boyfriend just got out of jail and has been trying to connect with him. Well, he put him in jail for domestic violence. And so now he is slightly paranoid. Guy wants to ruin his life. How should I handle this info? And he doesn't want to get a restraining order or press any more charges because he doesn't want to ruin his ex's life because he's harassing him. Thoughts?
You seen the Titanic? You know the end of the story goes. Fuck the women and children. Get on the boat, bitch, and get to safety, bitch. Run, girl, run.
Run,
okay?
Forrest, run. Ooh.
I always find it interesting that that people who find themselves in these kinds of entanglements are so concerned about, are more concerned about the impact to the person that's doing the crime, that's doing the deeds, than the person themselves. Like, listen, if this person is feeling big and bad enough to go out and try to, do something, then he deserves what he gets. And if that means he gets a restraining order, if that means he goes to jail again, that's on him. That's not on you. But for you, Anonymous, that's with this person, I'll stay out of grown folks' business.
I know that's right.
I'll be like, you know what? Clean that up. This is quarantine. You can do that. Clean that stuff up. Because the last thing that I would want for you is for you to be pulled into somebody else's mess.
Stuff. Yeah.
But see, I think when you're dating someone, though, that type of baggage is the type of baggage that a person takes with them into the next relationship. We all have our baggage that we carry from one relationship to another relationship. And unfortunately, there are certain exes that are that traumatic, or not that traumatic, that are that just bad that they can't help but to carry on because of the person. I would say, ask yourself one question. At what point do you just don't have time for it? Because at the end of the day, it don't matter what you do. If the ex is as crazy as the person says they is, then they're going to come after you. Part one. Part two, if the person you with ain't even trying to protect you, that's obviously saying that you don't need to be about it. It's a sign. Absolutely. You're going to get pulled into some shit that you didn't do. Because if I was dating someone and my ex was a fool, I'm doing whatever I can not to allow my ex to mess up with what I have going on. Whether that's a restraining order or whatever the case, putting that bitch 6 feet under, whatever the case is, it ain't messing up with this. And if that person ain't even remotely even checking for you like that, but don't check for them. No,
that's an indicator of what kind of energy they will bring into the relationship. That's a huge red flag.
They like messy.
Yeah, especially since they said the rough day, it's still impacting them emotionally at the minimum. And that's a lot. If I were younger, I don't know if I would have had the emotional maturity then to know that I wouldn't want that, because you're enjoying the moment, especially during quarantine. We all know how hard quarantine and COVID has been. So you're wanting that attention and that, just having somebody around, especially if you were single.
Yep.
So I completely get that. And especially if the sex good too, you're like, oh, okay, we both like, okay, come on, quarantine life and getting dick at the same time. Okay. But that's a lot. That's a lot. It's fresh out of jail, and clearly the person in jail hasn't gotten over it, hasn't grown, because they're going back into the ex's life as well, trying to start shit again. And it was domestic violence. So you got to ask yourself, do you want this in your life? Like, honestly. And it sucks if you genuinely like this person. I would probably approach this person and just be like, hey, I'm feeling that there's a lot of things that haven't been buttoned up with this relationship. I feel like you need to address that first, get the help that you may need, get the restraining order. If you don't want to do that, then I can't be around, because now it's putting my life in jeopardy potentially, because he gonna get me first, like, and get the help you need, and get the therapy too. Cause like, if it's still emotionally impacting you enough to have a rough day, which I get, like, that's a lot. You went through domestic violence. Hopefully you're getting the help you need, because it's not handled. It's not resolved enough for you to, like Jerrell said, go into another relationship without bringing that baggage. Like, either you keep that baggage at the crib and lock that shit up and store it somewhere, or that's a lot. I don't know. That's a lot. I couldn't do it.
Right. Same. I would say, if you're bored and you're looking for something to keep yourself entertained, bitch, just turn on CNN and watch these white people. But you don't need to be in a relationship or dealing with this type of mess because you're bored. There are other ways to occupy and entertain yourself. But if you do decide to go this route, I'll just say, one, just make sure you communicate. Make sure you communicate what you will and will not tolerate.
Right.
And also draw the line that if a bitch nut, she better be ready, because all I know, because the truth is, all I know is this. All I know is this. If all I'm saying is, like, if you show any sign of weakness, that ex gonna keep trying to come up for you. So you better put the fuck on that bitch neck right away from jump, and let her know you ain't no punk asshole.
Yeah, especially the slightly paranoid part. That's not fun for everybody. Like, this guy is slightly paranoid, which is going to come off on you now as well. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. So I would admit, as a friend to him, because I don't think you're official or anything like that, suggest the restraining order again. Suggest that he still gets additional help to deal with the turmoil that's going to continue to be out here since he's out of jail. Like, it's clearly bringing something else up, and say, I'm here as a friend, but I don't know if I could continue the fucking and the presence every day, because that's just not fair to me right now, because all your time and energy, honestly, is going to be preoccupied trying to honestly survive. It sounds like. That's hard though. Is there something he can do to help this guy? Like, can he go to a police office? Like, there's nothing you can do, right?
It's one of it's his story. It's his story, and it's his journey. So he's really the one that has to be the one to get the help and ask for the help and see the help through. Otherwise you're just a crutch, and you're just someone who's getting pulled in the current and going down with them. Don't be that person. And we've seen it time and time again. We know how that story ends.
Like, I seen Dateline on Friday night.
Not Dayline. That's where all the pedophiles be.
Lord. But yeah, that one wasn't an easy. I guess that wasn't like a rosy answer from us. I'm sorry, but that's a community. You know what? Like, we just put up the new Facebook private group. Mm-hmm. We'll pose this into that group. Give some answers to this one. Help us out, because are we missing something? Is there something we're missing that could potentially help the relationship if he thinks the guy is great? And is there another way to help the boyfriend, like, get a restraining order? It's, I don't know. I don't know. This is a hard one. So
I'm just surprised that, like, this isn't like pinging a whole bunch of red flags. Like it's one thing if this is like a casual hookup scenario and it's just like the plan is to keep this casual. There's no interest in like making this like an official thing. Then you just say, you know what? I'll call me when this stuff is cleaned up. Then we can continue hanging out and doing all the stuff. But if he's potentially saying like, you know, oh, I want to be linked up with them, there are some big red flags here about how
the first red
individual...
flag is we're in a pandemic. You should be staying your ass at home. Just saying.
And in that case, can you just send your Ask Your Aunties questions to aya@minorityReport.com?
Yes.
That part. Right.
I mean, it's the pickings are harder out here in the pandemic, you know.
But I mean, it's been a year.
I mean, I don't know.
Would y'all have been able to survive a year without having sex and things like during this course? Luckily, we have been in relationships. That like I would, it'd be tough. There would be a point where we're like, you know,
if I'm being honest, and if I were single during the pandemic, I would have had the wherewithal to be protected probably through like for the first 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
But after then,
it gets tough.
I need a little something.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I agree. I mean, I ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna front at all.
Right? Same here. I agree.
I would too. But there's a difference between you know, stepping out and being all the way out. You know, like
right.
I'll creep a little bit and
like
bring my ass back home. But if you out here, you know,
double dutching and everything
every night,
okay. Then you're doing too much, you know.
It would never be like never be like an everyday grinder thing for me. Like
it almost sounds like in this case, this person found someone that like at least they have mutual trust between each other to be each other's friends with benefits during this situation. So this is probably why this question came up, because it's hard. It's just like, damn, I finally found someone that like I feel comfortable stepping into quarantine craziness, doing this. And now you got the ex-boyfriend out of jail? Yeah. Damn!
But let's be clear. Though. Being in a relationship in quarantine isn't easy as well.
Oh, no, not at all.
Being underneath and near somebody for so damn long, every damn day.
It's true.
It gets exhausting. So because we almost didn't make it in 2020. So, like...
No, it's a true statement.
Yeah.
It's been...
Yeah.
Like, I would say, like, it was weird. Like, at first, we were good. Then, like, it went to a spot where we were just like, I'm just fucking tired of seeing your face. Yeah. Then it, like, went good again. And then now it's like, some days you're like, I just need to see somebody else, like just for 24 hours. Like, cause like I'm tired of this routine right now. You know,
and y'all got a whole house. Like imagine if you were in like a 1-bedroom apartment.
Literally,
like...
hey Carrie, she was just DMing us on Minority Report Instagram, and we were talking about that because she was just like, "Oh, how are you guys doing?" I was like, "We're doing well, blah blah blah," and I was like, I don't know how you're doing it in New York. Like we kind of talked about this on the episode a few weeks ago. Dawon was just like, you only have so much space. And I couldn't imagine literally.
Oh, Carrie Kerning. Yeah.
Hey, Carrie. My apartment in Chicago was like 650 square feet. Like I couldn't imagine my state of just being in 650 square feet doing this whole thing. So I applaud everyone that's like in these situations, especially if you're in relationships that aren't working and domestic violence like this question, or like family that's not supporting you being out, or Black trans family, you know, like there's so many situations that even though I adore my husband with all my heart, even though he bothers me some days, it is nothing compared to a lot of things. So I try to keep that in my mind, but it doesn't mean you don't get annoyed. You know?
Yeah. We've had to learn in our relationship because like Fizz and I don't know, like we're both, Fizz is funny because like how Fizz presents himself is very like reserved and very quiet, but like y'all have seen it when he gets lit. Y'all have seen it, and girl, she comes out. Rapunzel comes out, she lets down the bundles. right?
Arrived.
Twirl.
Right.
Twirl.
So our relation, so that's the fizz that I get all the time, which I love and adore so much. And so like so much of our relationship is very jokey and fun and bubbly, blah, blah, blah. But like quarantine has like exhausted that avenue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so now we've gotten to the point of like, we're learning how to be comfortable in silence and knowing that there's nothing wrong. Like that's the new thing that we've been having to learn. Because normally when we're together, we've been apart. So that's our time to chat and we're always talking when we're together. Now we're learning how to sit on opposite ends of the couch, not say anything, not with the TV on, and be just good. Yeah. And not feel like, are you mad? Are you okay? Right. Like, are we fighting? Like, what's going on? Because that's normally the only time it really happens, you know? So there's been some things that we've had to learn just as a couple and during this pandemic, as far as reading each other and evolving together.